Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming rematch between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. If you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so we have a huge rematch coming up this weekend, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. Now this is a rematch we've all been waiting for. You know, anytime the heavyweight belt is on the line, it's super exciting. And then on top of that, anytime you get a guy who's got tremendous knockout power like Francis Ngannou, everybody looks to the next time that he's stepping into the octagon. So we've got a big fight coming up here. When I'm handicapping this fight, no surprise, first thing I do is look back at their first match, right? Try to find out exactly what happened there, how it went down, and try to predict how those things could either change or stay the same going into this rematch. Now, when we take a look at their first fight, it's not very complicated. There's not a whole lot to break down. The match wasn't very confusing. There wasn't a lot of subtleties, wasn't a lot of in and outs. Ngannou came out there and tried to land big shots in the first round. Actually did get a few off. Stipe tried to avoid those shots, land a few of his own, and ultimately get the match to the ground. That's what he wanted to do. That was his game plan going in. It was like, hey, I'm not going to stand here and spend 5 rounds striking with this dude who just does nothing but knock people's heads off their shoulders. He goes, you know, I'll strike when I have to, keep it up, mix it up a little bit, keep the guy guessing. But ultimately, I want to get this fight to the ground. That is where I'm most safe. That's where I have a significant skill advantage over Ngannou. And he did. Took him down, held him down for the most part, beat him up. There's a few wrinkles to that fight. There's a few things that stand out to me. Number one is that Stipe did get hit with some right hands. He particularly got hit with one in the middle of an exchange in the first round. Man, it snapped his head back like a Pez dispenser. And to be honest, when I watched when I went back and watched it, I was kind of surprised that he took that one. I mean, because we all know how hard Ngannou hits, and that punch came out of nowhere. It was actually right in the middle of Stipe pursuing him. He had hit Ngannou, hurt him a little bit, started to pursue him to try to follow up, and Ngannou just, man, he let go of that right hand. It was so quick, so unexpected, and it just landed perfect. But Stipe took it, man. He has got a chin. Other than that right hand that we saw Daniel Cormier win the title with, I mean, Stipe has been solid as far as punch defense. He's been in there against everybody that the heavyweight division has to offer, up to and including the biggest puncher in Ngannou. He's taken them all, man. I mean, he came out of that fight, his face was messed up. His eye was swollen shut, and he had some bruising, some marks and everything, but he was good. And then the other part of that fight that was really telling was once they got out of the first round, I mean, Francis Ngannou was basically done. I mean, everybody knew going into that fight that Stipe was the better wrestler. But everybody figured, well, Ngannou's aware of this. He's not going to like try to go out and work on his wrestling in the sense that he's going to try to take Stipe down, but he's definitely going to work on his wrestling defense. If he can just defend just a few takedowns early in the fight, he'll be able to stay on their feet, land his strikes. Maybe they get more tired as the fight goes on. Stipe can't shoot as much. You know, that was the big talk going into the fight. That was the big talk going into that first fight, was that Stipe was the better wrestler, and what was Ngannou going to do about it? Well, then the fight came along. We saw Ngannou tried to hit a few home runs, and after the first round, he was gassed. He was breathing hard. His cardio and his gas tank were not ready for a 5-round championship fight. And his wrestling, it was not good. He did not offer much defense at all when Stipe decided he wanted to take that fight down to the mat. First round, second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, he did what he wanted. Stipe went in there and he did what he wanted, up to and including landing good counter shots, working the jab a little bit. I mean, he completely dominated that fight. Since then, right? Fast forward. Let's see what those guys have done since that first fight. Well, Stipe's had 3 fights against Cormier. Lost the first one, got clipped by a right hand, got knocked out, won the next 2. Ngannou had just a horrible fight against Derek Lewis. We'll kind of forget that one. We're going to put that to the side. And then he rattles off 4 first-round knockouts, right? Pretty much the same way that he made his way to the title shot the first time. Just rattling off first-round knockout after first-round knockout. So it doesn't tell us that much about Ngannou. When you think about it, you look at that first fight against Stipe and you think the problem was his, let's just sum it up. Problem was his wrestling, problem was his cardio. We don't know what's happened with either one of those things. We have yet to see how Francis Ngannou's cardio is going to look in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. We have yet to see how he's going to be able to handle a highly skilled, aggressive wrestler if Stipe decides he wants to take him down. And those pieces of information couldn't be more key. Now, on the other hand, we look at Stipe, and I think, well, he took those shots from Ngannou in the first fight. He did, but he had to take them because he got hit. You look at his fights and you look at his 3 fights with DC. He got clipped in those fights, particularly with that right hand. Not just the one that knocked him out in the first fight, but you look at the second fight and the third fight, he got caught with right hands. I mean, Stipe is no defensive wizard. You have to assume that when they go out into this fight, that Francis is going to catch him. So the question is he going to be able to eat him like the last fight? Or is he going to get caught with one that puts him out? I mean, I think it's safe to say that any individual punch that Francis Ngannou lands could knock a man out. He's got that much power. Just catches you in the right spot. You weren't quite seeing it, weren't exactly prepared. That's it, you're done. You know, second round, third round, fourth round. We haven't seen him knock anybody out late in the fight. However, I have to assume that he carries that power pretty late. I mean, because it's so devastating early. And typically, anytime you see a guy who's got that much power early in the fight, they're able to carry it late into the fight and really cause damage as well. So I'm just gonna jump out there and say that he's got power that you need to worry about for the entire 5-round fight. And Stipe, I don't know. He took those punches in the first fight, no doubt about it. But when you look at his fights with Daniel Cormier, so he gets clipped in the first round or in the first fight, gets dropped, knocked out, loses the belt. Okay. But even in that third fight, his most recent outing, man, DC caught him with some shots and hurt him. I want to say it was at the end of the first round. He caught him with a couple right hands, wobbled him for a second up against the cage. Obviously, Stipe was all right. He comes out, he wins the fight. But he got knocked down that first one, and he stumbled, got wobbled a little bit in that third one. I mean, he's getting older. Every single time he gets punched is another time that he gets punched. And at some point in time, eventually, his punch resistance will decrease. And it only has to go down just the slightest amount for somebody like Ngannou to be able to take his head off. So I wonder about that. You know, I wonder if he's going to go out there and get caught in this fight and get hurt, because the possibility is very real. So, this is such a tough one to look at. You know, the other thing about that fight with Daniel Cormier was, let's not forget the fact that Stipe came in with a completely different game plan. Dropped all the way down to 233 pounds going into that fight. Normally he's in the upper 240s. He looked very quick, very good on his feet. He's got the lateral movement. He can go in and out. He can control with the jab. He goes to the body well, knows how to mix his shots up. Stipe is a very skilled all-around fighter, and he has the advantage in so many different areas of the fight relative to Francis Ngannou. I mean, Ngannou's got quick hands, and he's got really good punching power. But other than that, man, we haven't seen much from him. His balance doesn't look great. He doesn't use combinations well. He doesn't set his power shots up. I mean, he's been able to get away with so much because the punching power he has is so ridiculous. I mean, he comes out there, he throws his punches, and they are haymakers. He puts everything into him. He's kind of leaning over his leg and getting off balance. Man, it doesn't matter. People aren't able to expose the things that he does, other than Stipe in their first fight. So going into this fight, the question is, you know, what's it going to look like when these two step in the cage and cross from each other? Oh, and it is so tough. It is so tough because on the one hand, I look at it and my first thought is, well, it's pretty obvious to me that Stipe is the better overall fighter. If I had to grade each one of these guys in each individual area that they're competing at in that octagon, Stipe is going to come out on top. He's the better fighter. Like I mentioned, the hand speed, the punch combinations, the punch selection, the wrestling, the cardio, the overall experience in the octagon. I mean, he's got Ngannou beat in so many different areas. But Ngannou has that great equalizer on the other hand. He thinks, man, you can win the fight for 4 rounds, 4 minutes and 55 seconds. And then he can pull the Rosenstrike like he did against Overeem and just reach out there and touch you. Bang, fight's over. That's it. It's done. So it's so tough to try to figure out how all that's going to work. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go with Stipe Miocic in this one. I just feel like somehow, some way, he's going to find a way to figure it out. He was able to get out there in that first fight, and he was able to do what nobody else had done up until that point. And he was able to avoid that right hand and beat Ngannou. And even though he gave me some things in that fight to worry about, for example, the biggest thing I worry about is, and Ngannou, he took Ngannou down and did what he wanted. Ngannou was completely gassed after the first round, but he was still able to hang around, and Stipe wasn't able to finish him. And that makes me a little bit worrisome because I think Ngannou can carry that power late into the fight. And if Stipe can't finish him, second round, third round, he continues to give Ngannou the chance to land that punch and hurt him. Part of me feels like Stipe realizes that as well. Part of me feels like he's going to look at it and think, you know, I'm tired of all the disrespect. I'm tired of being the defending champ and coming into this fight as the underdog. I'm tired of the promotion. Dana White himself talking about how incredible Ngannou looks and all these things he's going to do and he's going to set the division on fire. Man, maybe Stipe wants to come out there and make it a short night. Maybe he wants to take him down and figure out a way to pound him out and get him out of there in the third round. It'll be fascinating to see. But overall, got to go with Stipe on this one. I think he has more available to him, more options to win this fight. So let me know what you guys think. Is this going to be the time with Francis Ngannou? A lot of people were calling him the uncrowned king of the division for a long time before Stipe beat him. Is this his chance to redeem himself? Come up here, scorch Stipe with the right hand, win the belt and start a whole new era? Or is this just going to be another name on the resume for the greatest heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic, a man who's defeated everybody who's been put in front of him and defended the belt more times than anybody else? So let me know what you guys think.